Hello, welcome back to another video on astrology. This video is going to be a continuation of the series Karma and Astrology, and this is part 6 of 8. In case you have not seen earlier parts, I recommend that you first see them before you continue to watch this video, because I'm sure you will not find this video interesting without watching the earlier parts. So the subtopic of this video is going to be astrology, its limitations, or the limitations of astrology, the scope of astrology. Let me narrate a story, but this story has been often repeated in the world of astrology. But in case you know this, if you have heard of this, please kindly bear with me, because I'm actually narrating this story from a different point of view. This is the story of Varahamihira, one of the main people in the court of the king Vikramaditya. And when Vikramaditya was blessed with a son, he wanted to see the fate of his, or know how the horoscope of the prince was. And so he called Mihira, the best of astrologers in his kingdom, and asked him to study his son's horoscope. Then Mihira goes on to say that the prince will die on a particular date at a particular time, and that too, he says, he'll be killed by a wild boar. And so Vikramaditya asked him, do you have any remedies for this? And then Mihira said, sorry, the situation is so bad that there are no remedies, and remedies will not work in this case. And he even openly made a statement that I wish that there was some remedy for this. And but Vikramaditya, being a great warrior, known to have won many battles, was not going to accept this prediction as it is. And so he wanted to make sure that his son was not killed by a wild boar. As the years went by, and when Vikramaditya knew that the date was approaching, he ensured that his son was in a very safe place, a place where no wild boar could ever reach. And the prince was surrounded by guards, and it was next to impossible for any boar to come into the palace. And he was playing dice with his friends on that particular date. And so Vikramaditya said, do you want to change your prediction? Even now, it's okay. Maybe you can say that you made a mistake. When it was past 5 p.m., Vikramaditya said, I've been updated about my son's safety, and he's pretty much alive. And your prediction has gone wrong, and if you don't believe it, let's go to the 3rd floor and find out for ourselves. So they go upstairs, and on the terrace, they ask, they look for the prince, but they find that the prince is not there. And so they asked his friends, where did the prince go? Then the friends told them that the prince had some feeling of congestion in the chest, and he had wanted to take rest, and he had gone to the other side of the terrace. And so they went towards that place, and found that the prince was lying in a pool of blood. And they saw what killed him. It was a wild boar, but not the wild boar that you may think of. This wild boar that killed the prince is not a wild boar, but it is the statue of a wild boar. The wild boar was the emblem of the kingdom. And so they had this long, pillar-like structure on which the emblem was kept. This pillar had, because of some heavy, strong winds, this pillar was pushed, and maybe there was an error in the way it was fixed. All that added to this problem, and then the pillar fell, and the statue of the wild boar, which was on the topmost point of the pillar, hit the prince straight on his chest. And the tusk portion of the statue actually pierced the chest of the prince, and that's how he died. This is a very often repeated story in the world of astrology, mainly to prove the point that astrology can make exact predictions. And let us look at it from another point of view. We just have very few stories like this, because all the time astrology is not capable of making such predictions, in exact predictions like this. So we all know that astrology is a science of tendencies. But in some cases, astrology also startles us by its accuracy. Another point that you'll have to consider from the story is Varahamihira actually said it was a wild boar that will kill the prince, but it was not a wild boar. Let's admit that it was not, because this is just a statue, and Varahamihira did not say it will be a statue of the wild boar. Now here comes a very important point, that if the prediction has to be accurate, it also means that it will be modified in several ways. Because, for example, if Varahamihira said that it's going to be a statue of the wild boar, then the Vikramaditya would have made sure that there was no statue of wild boar also around the place where the prince was. Now this part of it is something that will remain unexplained forever. Because the very fact that if a prediction is made and if the prediction has to be successful, it can actually be made false because it has been said, and so you can actually make it false. Like, for example, a terrorist says that this bomb is going to explode at 10 p.m. exactly, because he has timed it. So just because he has revealed this, people will go and will be able to remove it from the place, or maybe they might evacuate the entire place, and so the effect of the bomb may not actually happen. So in a way, maybe the bomb did explode, but the exact thing that was expected of the bomb blast may not happen. So we have to also believe that if a prediction is made, or if something is being stated, then it is possible that by the knowledge of the very same thing, you could change it. So once it so happened that I was reading a horoscope of a person, and he was going through Guru Mahadasha and Saturn Antardasha, and Saturn was the lord of the second and also placed in the seventh. The mere lordship of the second or the seventh, Maharishi Parashara says that the person should do Vishnu Sahasranamam and also give away a black cow in charity, because black he associates with Saturn. So after hearing this statement, the client asked me one thing. I know that you are reading from Brihat Parashara Horashastra, and Maharishi Parashara has said this. But I have one more doubt, sir. I asked him what? He said, does Maharishi Parashara also say whether I will do this remedy or not? So I exactly didn't know what to tell him, because I understood that this person was extremely innocent. And when my mother was 26-year-old, my father had got her horoscope read from a very famous astrologer in Kerala. And that astrologer told my father that your wife's life is in danger when she is 27 years old. And my father asked how. He said she's going to be bitten by a snake. My father, believed in astrology and himself knew a great deal of astrology, but he said that in that case, I'm going to shift her out of Kerala and I'm going to move her to Chennai. And when she was 27 years old, my mother had some severe throat infection, and she was taken to a doctor. But my father and the doctor were friends, so they were having a chat. Meanwhile, the doctor had written a prescription and handed it over to the nurse. And it was penicillin. And as the nurse injected the penicillin, my mother started, almost, fainting. And she felt very weak, and they noticed that the color of the skin was changing quickly. It was becoming bluish. The nurse immediately called upon the doctor and said, "Doctor, there's something going wrong here. Please come and have a look." And then the doctor realized that this penicillin has become allergic to my mother. And then my mother was in the ICU, but thank God, she survived. From this incident, you also find that the snake bite has been replaced by something else. And you also have to accept that astrology is a great science, because no other science can ever dream of doing such things. That no physics, no chemistry, no biology can ever tell that your wife is going to be seriously ill when she is 27 years old. Now, that is a beautiful part of astrology, which is why astrology seems to always attract the intelligent people around the world. When a client goes to an astrologer, he has a lot of things going on in his mind. And he thinks that an astrologer is actually going to tell him what is going to happen, like how it's going to be in a movie. The 48th minute, this scene will come. So the astrologer is going to tell you something like that. The astrologer also tries to live up to that and says, yeah, I can also do that. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. Let's look at it from another point of view. We all know that the planets keep going in circles like this in a very predictable manner, that Saturn moves around like this once in 30 years, and Jupiter goes once in 12 years, and Rahu goes around once in 18 years. And these are the slowest moving things. And the rest of them keep going all over all the 12 signs every year. So, by using common sense, you can easily infer that the horoscope that you now have, we will say that this is something unique to you, and at this point in time, nobody else has this horoscope. That's fine. But we can easily say that this planetary position has repeated backwards n number of times, and forward it will repeat n number of times forward. So this is not the first time this has happened. So because it has to come again and again to the same point, there's no other place for the planets to go. Though we have the foreign yogas in the horoscope, 500 years back, 1000 years back, I'm sure nobody would have gone to the USA. But what they would have done is they would have gone from here to maybe from Chennai or Madras to Bangalore, and they felt that they had gone to a foreign country or a foreign land. Because astrology is just about only experience. This is something that has to be remembered by everyone who gets into astrology, that though astrology will continue to attract even the scientists, even those who have been educated in matters of science, will still continue to get attracted to astrology, mainly because of its possibilities, and sometimes they are stunned by its accuracy. Like an astrologer has told them that in this particular year you will go to a foreign country, and until that year, he has not gone to a foreign country, and then suddenly the opportunities come out of nothing, and then the person just goes away to a foreign country. For example, because Rahu and Ketu are on 1/7 axis on my horoscope, in the dasha of Rahu and the Antar dasha of Ketu, I went to the Netherlands. Actually, it happened all in less than a month. 1 month before, I had no plans about going. And this prediction was made by an astrologer, and we were studying together, but he said, I'm sure you're going to go abroad. But whenever we read our own horoscopes, we tend to, not look at every possibilities, and we use our common sense, we're very subjective when we read our own horoscope. So I said, maybe I'm not going to go. But he said, no, I know for sure you're going to go. And I said, what if I refuse to go? And what if I'm not even going to make an effort to go abroad? He said, somehow it will happen. And then suddenly there was this interview, and amongst 50 people I was selected to go from Chennai to Netherlands. So you find that something has been stated, and though it will not happen exactly as it has been stated, it happens somewhat in a different way. And for that, you need to know a lot of things about the person, because whatever the person is doing. If you see a possibility of a health problem, you can always say it is tending to happen. But if you also notice that the person is doing something that promotes that kind of illness, he is addicted to something that we know from the science point of view that this disease is possible for such a person, and that is the same thing that has been showing up in the horoscope as well. In such situations, we will have to say that this is going to surely happen. There's nothing that will change unless you change your habit. And most people will not change their habits. They will refuse to change their habits. And this is a situation where this allows the astrologers to make the exact predictions. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm sure you have some doubts and you have something to say about this, and please go ahead and type them out in the comment section, and let's learn astrology together.